one of my favorites is just people who visit are like, I just can't believe how many people tell me hello while I'm walking down the street. I'm kind of startled by it.
We
And
should be listed as the friendliest city in the world.
we're a super friendly city.
We are excited to be with Walt Leger III. He is President and CEO of New Orleans and Company. He is a native New Orleanian, born in Araby, but claims New Orleans as we all do, greater New Orleanians, right?
Absolutely.
And you're leading this great company. What does it mean for you to tell the story of your own hometown on a global stage? Because New Orleans and Company reaches far and wide.
It's incredible, Mark. It crosses my mind sometimes how incredible it really is, and feels like an incredible blessing to be able to do it. I feel like in some ways I've been doing it my whole life, and we're all so proud of our hometown and the way that we talk about it and the way that we share it with people. And it's always amazed me that when you travel and when you're somewhere else and somebody finds out you're from New Orleans, and wherever you grow up in the region,
Right.
when you're traveling, somebody says, where are you from? You say New Orleans. People light up. They have a memory or they have a connection to it in some way. And to now be able to do it as a profession and something that I spend my life doing is just incredible. I say, if you're going to spend your life working on something and putting your whole heart and soul into something, getting to do this is incredible. And I love it each and every day. No matter how challenging it can be, it's really incredible.
Yeah, and you talk about the global stage. You're on the board at the U.S. Travel Association, a very important organization for this nation's travel industry. And so you're at the table with the policymakers. Can you just describe what that is like? Because it's so important that you're there.
Well, yeah, thanks. Given my background and the work that I've done in the legislature and other things, I'm obviously attracted to public policy. And so being able to work on travel policy and tourism policy at that level with other city leaders that do a similar job to what we do here at New Orleans and Company, but also the corporate leaders and the airlines and the hotel community and the gaming community and other places is very rewarding. Personally, I enjoy doing the work, and I enjoy trying to influence the outcomes. This travel industry that we have in this country is a $1 trillion industry globally, and we're a major part of it in the United States. Obviously, New Orleans is a big part of what happens across the country, and we've got a lot of work to do. There are some challenges. We need technology upgrades. We need our TSA workers to be compensated, and and we need to get them out of the crossfire of some of these political challenges that have emerged over the last year or so. But there's a lot of planning and execution that we need to do at the national level, and being there and being able to keep pushing that forward is important. We want the United States to remain as one of the most aspirational destinations in the world for visitation. There are a lot of countries who are trying to compete with our nation because they recognize the economic impact of it, and continuing to work on improving that is something I'm really passionate about.
We appreciate you being there. New Orleans is performing right now as a visitor destination in a more consistent basis. We've been through COVID. We're regaining our footing. What do you see as the trends?
Yeah, so we continue to see that leisure and business gets blended together. Mm-hmm. They call it bleisure, which is a weird word, but New Orleans is an ideal place to take advantage of that. And so our convention sales team has done a tremendous job of keeping us highly competitive, despite the fact that our city is not the biggest and doesn't always have the most resources to be able to compete. But for many years in a row now, we've been one of the top 2 or 3 destinations for conventions, conferences, and meetings in the country. That says a lot because, as you know, the bigger conferences, they rotate. Right. And so from year to year, if you're at the top of the list, that means you're competing consistently with a variety of different customers. So those meetings, about 1,000 of them a year, about, let's say, 100 at the convention center, 900 at other venues throughout the city, whether those be hotels or other places, they form the foundation of the tourism economy. They allow us to fill in with leisure and major events and concerts and other things that attract visitation. And so we're performing really well, but we've got to keep competing because every year is a new year. And the blending of leisure into that business travel is something that we can particularly benefit from, because we're the type of place where people will want to tack on a day or two to their business trip and spend some additional time exploring, our incredible cultural institutions, our museums, our incredible restaurants, all the other things that are happening here, our music venues, and being able to build that like layered approach has proven to be really powerful for us, and we've got to keep building that.
Right, and we speak about New Orleans being built to host. Part of that too is keeping up with the infrastructure, and we always have to make sure that our product is updated on a regular basis. What do you see those trends looking like?
Look, we've seen great support from the state over the last couple of years in upgrading things like the convention center and the Superdome. The hope is that continues to inspire even more private investment in our hotels, in our restaurants, in our other venues and cultural institutions across the city. We see that happening as well. The World War II Museum continues to grow and update and modernize. Audubon Nature Institute, of course, Historic New Orleans Collection, so many other really special institutions throughout the community. But to your point, like, you've got to keep evolving. Right. You've got to keep growing. You've got to keep getting better each and every day, because everyone else is. And it's like any other endeavor that you have in life. If you're not getting better, if you're not growing, then you're slowly getting worse or declining. And we've got to be in that mindset all the time. If we have to pursue excellence at every turn, we've got to be about what the next evolution is, always staying true to who we are and what we're about here. Being built to host is certainly about infrastructure, but it's also about people, and it's about community, and it's about continuing to grow our community into a great place to live, to work, to learn, to invest, and then to visit as well. And as we lean into those opportunities, I think we put our best foot forward.
Yeah, and you lead a pretty awesome team here. You've got Stephanie Turner and her team working the conventions, meetings, associations. Kim Priez working the international side and the tourism side, and of course with what Jeremy does on the marketing side. What does our visitor look like these days? Young, old? I say old. I can say that myself. But international. What's the balance we're looking for?
Yeah, look, it's all those things. Our visitor here, is seeking an experience. Mm-hmm. They're seeking to dive into our culture and to participate, not just to watch something happen, but to be participants in it. They want to be a participant in getting the greatest food on the planet, a participant in hearing music both on the streets and in music clubs throughout the community. A participant in, visiting some of the great cultural institutions in our country. That's the kind of person it is, but that person checks all the boxes you talked about. They're young, they're older. There's multi-generational travel, more and more becoming an essential aspect of what we're attracting here. There are a lot of people who are coming here for a few days and getting on a cruise ship. Millions of people a year are doing that now, and we continue to thrive in that environment. We are one of the leading destinations for embarkation, because I think the city is such a rich experience in and of itself that if you're going to cruise out of anywhere, why not New Orleans? Yeah. Get a couple of days of New Orleans and then go to the Caribbean or beyond and enjoy that experience.
It's like a double vacation.
Yeah, so I mean, that's something that's certainly trending up, and that's international and domestic. So just recently we're looking at some data on the international visitors who are coming in and getting on cruise ships and going on trips that are beyond the city, but they're all spending time in the city as well, and so that's adding some value. But our approach is we want a layered approach to how people get to encounter and experience the city. A great example of that was a couple of weeks ago where you had Tulane Book Fest, which was a highly successful event, continues to grow and attract a certain type of traveler who is looking for engagement with authors and with that kind of experience. The same weekend you have Savannah Bananas in with 150,000 people in the Dome. 100,000 of those visitors were from the state of Louisiana, from other parts of the state, 25,000 from the Gulf Coast, and another 25,000 from states beyond. Wow. A really interesting event and highly impactful. You also had Super Sunday. You had St. Patrick's Day parades. You had a variety of social events with weddings and other things happening. And you got this really layered approach to visitation where you had a variety of people who had a variety of interests who were plugging into a variety of events. And it stacked up to be a really powerful visitation weekend for the city. Also, we had great weather, really spectacular. And that's what we strive for. We want to strive. We also had probably 5 or 6 in-house meetings of 1,000 people or less that were meetings in hotels throughout the community, but nothing citywide. And so with all those things stacked together, you get a really impactful weekend. That's what we're striving for, a variety of visitors who have a variety of interests. And when we can bring them together, it's highly impactful for the whole community.
Yeah, and then plop into that, like you said, the American College of Cardiology, and they bring tens of thousands of people.
15, 20,000 people.
And they're getting great business done, research done. In the meantime, you've got the festivals and other events, which brings me to ask the question about back to infrastructure for a moment. Amtrak seems to be doing so well now. You mentioned cruises. The airport just released a master plan going forward for the next 20 years.
Yep.
This has got
Exciting.
to excite you.
Yeah. Well, look, the infrastructure is critical. And that's another thing we work on at the national level with U.S. Travel and then some other places. Investing in connectivity is ultimately about the destiny of a community. So how you invest to connect to people is where we're going to be in years down the road. And so it's very exciting to see the airport leaning into 20 years of planning. That's what it takes. I mean, you can't start planning now for tomorrow. You need to you need to start planning now for 10 years from now and 20 years from now. I love that thought process. I think it's taken us that long to get this train going from New Orleans to Mobile, but as you said, it's thriving. They were projecting about 80,000 riders in the first year. We've gotten 80,000 in the first 5 months.
Wow, it's amazing.
So connectivity is critical. How you bring people together. It's not just great for visitation. It's great for business. It's great for the overall health of a community. I mean, cities grow when they're connected and when they're easy to get to. Yeah. So we want to make it easier for people to get here in any form that we can. If that's rail, if that's airline, whatever it is, we want to make that happen. And so thinking about how we expand upon those investments, that we really drive the planning process in a thoughtful way that is forward-looking and forward-leaning. That's how you build momentum. It's how you keep things moving, and it's how you don't get caught off guard.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to, recognize that there's a growth potential, but only if you plan for it, only if you execute for it. And that's what we see happening with the airport.
And it all reaches down to affect the small businesses and the mom and pop businesses throughout the city of New Orleans, and that's why you're going after these events. I mean, speak to the importance of bringing these large groups and events here, like a Super Bowl or a National Football Championship, and how is it filtered down so everyone gets a piece of it?
Really goes back to what we were talking about with those layers and a recognition that different events hit different businesses in different ways. And so really important that we as a team stay focused and as a community stay focused on attracting a variety of events throughout the year and create as stable of an environment as possible. But when you're a city of 385,000, supporting the more than 1,000 incredible restaurants, the myriad cultural institutions and attractions, that's challenging. And there are no cities. I'll go out on a limb and say it. There's no city of 385,000 in the country that packs the cultural punch that we do. No, there's just no comparison. If you go out and start identifying them, it's really shocking, when you just look at population. And then you look at the fact that we're able to bring in 18 million or more visitors a year for a variety of events. You mentioned medical conferences. So 25,000 physicians and exhibitors will be here for hematology later in the year. No event like it anywhere else at that time of year in December. That's going to pack an incredible punch. There will be buyouts at restaurants. There will be retail outlets who have banner weekends and weeks because of the spending power that those visitors will have. Similarly, you have a Super Bowl or you have a Final Four college football championship or a Savannah Bananas or an X Games like we've got coming later in the year, or a Zurich Classic, you can keep naming these events. They're all different. They have different audiences, they attract different people, and they do different things for the economy, but ultimately they create economic activity. They are creating revenue for local, state, and our regional governments. They are obviously creating employment opportunities and business opportunities for those individual businesses, but again, not every event's going to hit exactly the same
No.
way, and we've got to be focused on attracting different events with different audiences and spreading those out as much as possible. And that's what that's what the team's doing here on a daily basis, trying to curate the best possible overall experience, recognizing that some weekends aren't going to be as good. I mean, when Taylor Swift came to town, the World War II Museum wasn't very busy that weekend. But when you bring in an event of a different type with a different visitorship, then they may be overwhelmed with visitation.
What I think has been good about the marketing that you're leading is the fact that you're certainly playing to your strength, French Quarter, the Warehouse District, the Sports District, but you're also spreading that spending to the neighborhoods. I mean, we're talking Bywater, Uptown, Mid-City, New Orleans East. I mean, that's great. So everyone is getting to feel that they're part of the economy that way.
Yeah, look, certainly a goal to make sure that people have a viewpoint when they come in, that we have a diversity of neighborhoods, a diversity of people, a diversity of opportunities to engage the community. Some communities would like to have more visitation. Some are happy to have business activity with their neighbors,
Right.
and we want all that to happen in the right ways. But certainly, when we are able to spread that up St. Charles Avenue all the way to Audubon Park and create a lot of activity, or up to Tulane with the Book Fest and New Orleans Entrepreneur Week over at Loyola, I mean, you're getting people uptown through the Garden District and into other areas of the city. You're able to spread people up to City Park and have them get to experience that incredible urban park in the middle of the city. I think people's eyes really light up.
Yeah.
They see New Orleans Museum of Art, or the Sculpture Garden. That's one of the top 10 anywhere in the country. We've got to keep creating opportunities for people to engage with all these different things, and then the outdoor recreation that's available at the parks and or Bayou St. John, and and beyond into Jefferson Parish and St. Bernard and Plaquemines and upriver as well.
Yeah, we punch above our weight all the time, right?
We're a sportsman's paradise, and we get called that for a reason. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity within 30 minutes of our city to be in the middle of nature in a way that's just not possible in almost any other city. And yeah, they say we punch above our weight. I mean, the thing I like about that is it means we're always fighting, and we have to be, because every other city wants to get a piece of what we've got. I mean, this market is finite, and we want it to keep growing, but ultimately people want more and more of the pie. And if we want to maintain what we've got and create the economic activity that we've been able to sustain, then you have to keep competing. And that means every day. Doesn't mean you can do it just every so often. You got to show up every day.
Because everyone's read our playbook, and they're doing what we've done so
They're building
successfully.
new convention centers, new attractions, new museums all over the country. And in Texas alone, I think $8 billion worth of infrastructure for conventions, conferences, and meetings between San Antonio, Austin, Dallas, Houston. And that's not to mention hotel development and attractions and other things. I mean, it is an arms race, and it is a competitive one, and people absolutely are competing at the highest levels for it. And fortunately, I think we built a team that can compete really well, and we're going to keep competing hard every day to try to win business for our city.
Yeah, and it translates into support for city services at the end of the day, right? And we know that we need as much help as we can get on that.
Absolutely. I mean, we've got to keep generating revenue. I mean, I've talked to the mayor about this. She and the council and the CAO, as they work through the budget issues that they're facing, what conventions do we have coming up? What are we going to do to make sure that as many conventioners show up as possible? Yeah. We need every single one of them to come and to spend their dollars with us to generate the revenue we need to get out of this hole. And ultimately, that's where we can continue to add value, and we're going to keep working on it.
So someone listening or watching you right now, what would you tell them ways that they can support the industry or be ambassadors for the city?
Yeah, well, I mean, one, certainly let's be our own best champions, and let's focus on the good, right? I mean, certainly there are challenges. Guess what? There are challenges in every city. And we've got to embrace and recognize that when we're communicating with folks, those words really matter. And that matters for our regional neighbors as much as it does for people all over the country. Two, if you're a part of any organization, you want to bring a meeting here, just let us know how we can partner with you to do it. We get the benefit of a lot of great New Orleanians who are like, oh, I'm involved in the You Name It association, and we want to bring our annual conference to New Orleans. How do we help? And
Yeah.
I mean, there are a lot of incredible ambassadors for our community, and I think more ambassadors than detractors.
Yeah.
But certainly,
I mean, we can be our own worst
we
critics
can be.
sometimes.
And look,
but
sometimes you need to be, right? We want to be better.
Yeah.
And so we want to put pressure on public officials and on others to like build a stronger community. We can all do that in a way that's beneficial, but also we should never forget how special this place is.
Yeah.
And it just takes going away for a little while to remember it. And even a quick visit away, you start to miss the things that are special here. And one of my favorites is just people who visit are like, I just can't believe how many people tell me hello while I'm walking down the street. I'm kind of startled by it.
We
And
should be listed as the friendliest city in the world.
we're a super friendly city. I think we are genuinely really proud of our community. Although we like to, beat ourselves up a little bit, we are really proud of it. And if somebody comes for us, we rally.
Yeah.
And so I think the latest thing I saw was Applebee's announcing their new Big Easy menu and kind of taking a shot at New Orleans. And that's not something you want to do. New Orleans will come for you. And it looks like we're coming for them.
Yeah. Well,
So
I can't wait to see that.
yeah, you should check that out.
What gives you confidence going into the future?
The people of the city always give me confidence. I mean, I really believe there's a lot of strength and resilience and ultimately love for one another and for community. And I think regardless of what kind of challenges come our way and the difficulties that every community faces, I really genuinely believe that we bounce back stronger. We come together when it counts. I hope we'll continue to find more reasons to come together instead of split apart. I mean, that happens too. But ultimately, when we rally together, there's not really anybody who can stop us. And I think that ultimately makes me feel incredibly proud of our community and also confident about where we're headed in the future from a momentum standpoint.
What else is out there on the horizon that maybe you can give us a little news about?
Yeah. I mean, I think, well, look, we got Sail 250 coming up. I know you're well aware of that.
Oh, that's right. They got the tall ships coming
Tall
in.
ships coming in the end of May and some military vessels coming in.
It's going to be exciting.
Kicking off America's 250. But yeah, festival season is pretty exciting. And when you get into the spring months and you start to see these things piling up, it's kind of easy to get spoiled by that. But these are some of the most incredible events anywhere in the country. Then they happen here every weekend for a little while, and you can get really caught up in how easy we make that look. It's not easy. There's a lot of people.
Pace yourself.
There's a lot of people working really hard to make those events work.
Yeah.
And I had meetings just this morning about events that'll be happening in the fall. And I mean, these are year-round things that people are working on to make them work. And I guess if I had any frustration about the appreciation for it, it's that I don't know that the people who make this stuff happen get enough credit for making them happen, right? We have gotten very accustomed to some of these events that are some of the biggest on the planet: Jazz Fest, French Quarter Fest, Mardi Gras. It just, the list goes on and on.
Yeah.
Super Bowls, all that stuff. I mean, it is a tremendous amount of work to execute on this.
The Sugar Bowl from
Sugar Bowl every
years.
year for 90 years,
Wow.
one of the premier events in sports. And I mean, executing these things is far from easy, and it's a challenging time to get anything done. And yet we continue to do it. And so my hat goes off to the countless people in our community who make this happen from just from so many different businesses. You talk about the moms and pops. I mean, the truth is 95% of our businesses are quote unquote moms and pops, right? They're small businesses that are operating and supporting a variety of things happening throughout our community that are rich experiences for visitors, but they're also the kind of things that make this place such a special place to call home and make us all so proud. And so those folks, definitely hats off and congratulations to them.
And you've been a big supporter, and you remain that way, of the first responders and how important they are to this equation of what we do here in the city of New Orleans.
Yeah, I mean, my first job as a professional was an assistant DA in the prosecutor's office here in New Orleans, and worked with law enforcement for those many years, and so appreciate what they put on the line every day to protect us residents, but also to step up and protect a city of sometimes twice the size of the average day, right? With depending on what events are going on. Any given
weekend, it might look like that.
And so I don't know that they get enough credit for being, such big city law enforcement even in a small town like ours. It's really impressive. They work really hard, and it's a really difficult job. So we've got to support them and so many others who make this place special and keep it going.
Look, I know family's important to you, and congratulate you and your wife Danielle on expanding your family. I know that's
Our third
that's
daughter,
wonderful.
yeah.
Third daughter, as I like to say, third wedding.
Yeah. And all the other great things that go along with it.
That's true. That's true. And you're a big collaborator, and the fact that someone from Jesuit can be talking to somebody from Brother Martin High School is just shows how anything can happen.
Some of my dearest friends. You know how much I respect the folks over there on Elysian Fields.
Well, thank you, sir. Hey, y'all, go ahead and hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel and turn on your notifications. Please follow us. We've got new shows each and every week. And a very, very special thanks to all of our sponsors who are making this possible. Have a great day, and we'll see you next week.